Hans Wormhat. I just have too many comments on my outer space is fake video. I can't answer everybody's questions, but most of the questions, well, most comments aren't even questions. They're just being mean, and it's kind of funny how childish they are. But for the people that actually have legitimate questions, most of the time you can tell that these people aren't even coming from, arguing in good faith. Meaning, just to give you a quick example, when people come and they start throwing Bible verses at you, but then you're like, but wait, you don't even believe in Jesus. You don't even believe in the Bible. So you're not arguing in good faith by bringing up Bible verses, because that's not something that you believe in. Same thing with, I guess it's a little bit different but also similar in that most often when people come and they're like, well, why doesn't this? Well, why doesn't this? They think that they're getting you caught in a gotcha, aha, I gotcha. They're not actually there questioning their own ideas or anything like that. And another thing that's huge that people always forget about, tons of people know this stuff is fake. This stuff is obviously fake. It's campy. NASA is so campy. It's laughable. Part of the mocking is making the stuff really, really bad. So what people often forget is that a lot of these people aren't even coming and, allegedly arguing in good faith. They're just doing nothing but trying to get you caught in some sort of, aha, I caught you. They're not trying to figure out the truth. They already know the truth, that this place is flat and unmoving. They want to keep that secret to themselves, and they get off on withholding the truth from people, and they get off on getting people to believe a bunch of BS. So anyhow, on the off chance that there are some viewers who actually want legitimate answers to questions, here you go. People have a hard time understanding what up is. A big question that people have is, why don't the air above objects is less dense than an object, so why don't they go up? And people just don't understand. There is an up to this place. God made up and down. There is an up and a down. And they have issues with that, of course. Once they, meaning they, them, the eunuchs, people who are just trying to cause fights and not really looking out for the truth, they have a problem with when you say God made up versus down. And they have a problem with that because in their mind, science has answers to everything, but really it doesn't. If you start asking them, okay, well, why does the gravity constant, because they pretend like they have an answer to down. They say the reason for down is because gravity, is because the mass of Earth. Okay, but then they wouldn't have a reason for why gravity is what it is. Why isn't it twice as strong as what it is? They have no answer to that. Why is everything the way that it is? They don't have answers for that. They have made up answers for things like, why is down? They start making up things about a ball, Earth, and gravity and all that. Whereas I am just willing to say, God made it. God made down. God made up. It has nothing to do with fake gravity. But since they have some mystical story about gravity, people buy into that rather than just the simple truth that there's an up and there's a down, and it's the same for everybody. Up and down is the same for everybody. And when you fly all over Earth, do you feel your up down changing? If you brought a plumb bob up in an airplane, is it going to be constantly adjusting? Does an airplane constantly adjust its up and down as it curves around the ball Earth? No, of course not. You can tell that airplanes fly flat. Plane, flat. And yeah, I think that's mostly it for up down. Seance believers, they think that they have better answers, but at the end of the day, they can't answer why is the gravity constant? Why is it what it is, and why isn't it twice as strong? They don't have an answer to that. So they really, the argument, when they try to say that, it's not a good argument to say that God made it that way. Okay, they eventually are doing the same things, but they'll just claim it's a constant of the universe. So they'll just appeal to, oh, it just is that way. It didn't have to be made that way. It just is that way. If gravity doesn't exist, then why do things fall? Because buoyancy is a real thing. Because things are more dense than air. I really don't understand that question. That's, to me, this is people not understanding what the theory of gravity is, which is trying to give an explanation for buoyancy. Why is, or up down, giving an explanation for up down. Why do all things tend in the same direction? It's because God made it this way. There's an up and there's a down. There's order. God made this place with order. If there wasn't an up and there wasn't a down, things would fly all over the place and there'd be chaos and it wouldn't work. So that's why it's made like this. So people that ask the question, if gravity doesn't exist, then why do things fall? They don't understand what the theory of gravity is, which is the claim that the mass of Earth is bending space-time, and that's what makes things go to the ground. And you can just see how sci-fi fantasy land that is. What? You're telling me that the mass of Earth is somehow, bending the fabric of space-time and that is drawing things into it? It's sci-fi BS. Things fall because they're more dense than air. That's why they fall. And then, so another, just a big question that people talked about, pressure gradients inside of containers. If you build a container large enough, you'll get a pressure gradient. That's just buoyancy again. The air that's less dense is going to be higher up in the container, and the air that's more dense is going to be at the bottom of the container. So there's nothing wrong with that. And I guess just another big question, this was just a basic physics question. People asked, okay, if gravity doesn't exist, then how come riding a bike up a hill is harder than riding a bike down a hill? But that's just buoyancy again. Things want to go down because they are more dense than the air around them. You and your bike want to go down because you're more dense than the air. And so that buoyant force, it's either working against you or it's working for you. And here's just a simplified, I'm actually, here I note this is simplified and ignores the normal force, because there is a normal force. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So when the bike and you push down on the ground, it's going to be pushing back. But so this is just a little bit simplified, but it's just vector diagrams. If you want to think of the red as like the action that you need to perform to get where you want to go. If you're riding uphill, you need to put a lot of force to go against the buoyant force. But if you're riding downhill, the buoyant force is already helping you out a bunch, so the force you need to apply is minimal. Anyways, this isn't a physics thing. It's funny because people always say stuff, oh, you're so uneducated, you moron, etc. I don't like to talk about it because I don't think highly of things like degrees or taking a bunch of courses in different disciplines. But I've taken it. I've taken physics classes. I went all the way through high school. I took the college prep classes. I took the AP classes. And I just think it's funny because I learned the same stuff. It's the same thing with religious. They try to attack you for being religious, and they say, oh, you're just brainwashed because you've always been like that. No. I came to religion later in life. I came to flat earth later in life because I started researching the truth. It's not that I'm ignorant to these things. I learned all the same BS as everybody else. It's that I started researching the truth for myself, and that's why I believe what I believe today. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 27, but God hath chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and God hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty. Whenever I read this, I just think of the Babylonian deceptions and how, rocket scientist is supposed to be one of the most smarty pants things, but they're glorified bottle rockets, and you can't go to outer space. Outer space isn't real. Oh, I study neutron stars for a living. That's supposed to be this like super, look how smart this person is. But it's a bunch of BS. They're pushing equations, and these things don't exist in reality. So that's what I always think of when I read that. Come on, NASA, make your mind up. Which one does Earth really look like? Right? This isn't real life. Clearly artistic renditions of an idea. And I like the 2015 one. Yeah, where's the pear shape? Why does the Tesla look so fake in space? Again, this outer space stuff, it's campy. It's not good. It's poor quality. It's part of the mocking. And they just have a zillion groupies that love being in on it. They are so childish. They love being in on it. And so that's why they get so angry. It's like a child who their magic trick, somebody figured out the secret and started telling the secret to the magic trick, and the child is throwing a big tantrum. No, that's not how I do it. That's not how I do it. You're just dumb. You need to go see a doctor. Take your meds. That's seriously how these people act. Crazy things can come true, Elon Musk reacts to Falcon Heavy launch. I think it looks so ridiculous and impossible, Musk said. You can tell it's real because it looks so fake. Why is it always cartoon imagery? Just go back to your education, indoctrination, how often you were shown cartoon images and told that this is fact. It's ridiculous. And what a joke. The Tesla Cybertruck thing is just mocking, just in plain sight. Emperor has no clothes, mocking. It's all a big joke. You can tell it's real because it looks so fake. NASA literally puts a serpent's tongue right in its logo, and NASA means to deceive in Hebrew. Can't make this up. But even the people that wake up to the sky 999997777, there's different layers, there's different castes. The drone class is not supposed to know that all this stuff is made up. This is supposed to be hidden insider knowledge for the priest class. The higher class is supposed to know these secrets and mock the sheeple for believing it, because it's so ludicrous. When the CGI glitches, you can tell it's real because it looks so fake. How NASA trains astronauts 40 feet underwater. How astronauts train underwater. Astronauts training underwater. Astronauts scuba dive. Take a tour of NASA's full-size mock-up of the ISS. That's the only one that exists. And that's what spacewalks are, just, they're scuba and CGI. Neutral buoyancy laboratory. They're even here. I included this because it's a truth in plain sight. It's not a neutral gravity. It's not a 0G laboratory. It's neutral buoyancy. And all of this NASA and water stuff, I believe that they really like to do these water things. You can go, there's a news article about NASA astronaut almost drowns in space. They love to poke fun at the fact, and it's like a truth in plain sight thing, mocking. They're telling you it's water. Outer space, what they call outer space, it's water. Water's above. There are waters above the firmament. That's why it's blue. That's why the sky's blue. Genesis 1, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. In the beginning there already was a bunch of water, and there was a face, flat. So in the beginning, God decided what up and down was. In the beginning, when God made the face of the deep, there already was established up versus down. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 22. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. And of course, there's other references as earth being a footstool, and many, many more references. Anybody that tells you that they believe the Bible, but they don't believe flat earth, the Bible 100% supports flat earth, and it's truth in plain sight. They have to present us the truth and get you to reject it. That's how the system works. Proverbs chapter 8, verse 27. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set a compass upon the face of the depth. And this is referring to the creation, and this is what the Masonry G is all about. G, 7. 7 is a reference to the 7 days of creation. And look at what we have here. We have a right angle, which is a plane, and we have the compass on top of it. This is a reference to the creation. God drew the compass upon the face. Look at it. There's a compass which draws circles upon the 90-degree angle, the plane. And that's what that references. God drew a circle on a plane. Circle or sphere, there's a difference there. And spheres are not circles. The Earth is not a ball, a space ball. It's a big joke. So that's what this is. That's what the Freemasonry symbol represents, creation. The G represents the 7 for the 7 days of creation when God drew the compass on the face. God bless everybody.